one thing that my mother has repeatedly told me, that you need to have an identity of your own. You cannot be known as somebody's daughter or wife or sister or mother. You need to have an identity. I think in a way that has shaped the fact that I've looked for a career rather than a job.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to Godrege's podcast, Be All You Can. I am Vijay Balakrishnan, and I'm very excited to introduce our speaker today. A trailblazer and a visionary leader in the world of banking and finance with over 40 years of experience. She is the first woman to chair the State Bank of India and is now driving innovation at Salesforce India. Recognized globally in Forbes' The World's 100 Most Powerful Women and Fortune's World's 50 Greatest Leaders lists, her journey exemplifies resilience, transformation, and purpose-driven leadership. We are thrilled to have with us Ms. Arundhati Bhattacharya and hear her invaluable perspectives on breaking barriers and shaping the future. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, your career trajectory is an inspiration for many. With 1.5 billion plus Indians, one needs to be truly differentiated to stand out and at your scale in the context of the Indian workforce. So what has been your key differentiator that has helped you stand out and make a lasting impact in the eyes of many, including me?
Okay, I think one or two things probably. It's very difficult to sort of analyze and parse yourself, It's best understood from the eyes of others. But if I think about it myself, what could have differentiated me? One thing, of course, is that I've always been open to new things, new challenges, new ideas, new pursuits, new initiatives, which, ensures that I can be relevant. Okay, because I'm looking at all of these things and trying to internalize them. The second thing is I believe a lot in collaboration and teamwork. Okay, and that enables me to achieve quite a bit, because if you have a team of 5 people, then you actually have 5 brains in the room. And if you preempt everything and do it yourself, then you're only putting one brain to work, right? Then you can actually get much more done than if it's only one brain and maybe 5 pairs of hands, but then only one brain doesn't achieve the same. And I think the third thing only is that I try to remain as grounded as possible, because that enables me to get a lot of ground up information, which would otherwise get lost in the transmission.
Okay. So I see a theme of being just inclusive and open, right? So I think in today's VUCA world, that becomes an imperative to be existing.
Exactly.
Continuing on that context, right? So we are living in a time of rapid digital transformation.
True.
And in your view, how crucial is digital transformation for organizations, and not just for growth, but even relevance in an ever-changing world to sustain what they are today?
So basically, we've been talking a lot about data being the new oil. But, it's like having a oil mine right below your legs or feet. Okay. You have the oil mine or the oil field, but you haven't mined it. Okay. So if you don't really empower your organization with information, then you're missing out a lot. And the reason why you won't survive if you don't do this is because your competitors are. Everybody today realizes that information is power. It could be various types of information. For instance, if you're talking about equipments that you all manufacture, there could be certain parts that are wearing out faster. Could you do something? Could you use some other material to ensure that doesn't happen? So your equipment as compared to the same equipment by somebody else becomes more lasting, more stable. Others are going to do it. If you are not going to do it, then you will slowly over a period of time become irrelevant. Okay. So much information is coming into the consumer. If you as the producer are not using the same volume of information or greater you will not be able to serve that consumer.
Absolutely.
Which is why it is very important, and that is the reason why you need to move into the information age. That is the reason you need to digitize your processes, because again, digesting all of that information and coming out with insights that are useful is also a big job.
So being a long-term proponent of data governance, strategy, and quality, on a lighter note, whenever I have heard the term data is a new oil, I always respond with, but bad data will give you cholesterol.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. You're quite right. Garbage in is garbage out. You have to ensure that what you're getting in is right.
Absolutely. And a little bit around your transformation during your SBI tenure, we cannot avoid that perspective. So, having led SBI, a long-standing institution in India, you have been instrumental in driving digital adoption across that organization. How challenging was it? And uh, and how, in terms of all people, processes, and also from a customer experience and customer perception standpoint, how challenging was it for you to drive the transformation across?
I think, it wasn't challenging after I got buy-in on the vision. But getting that buy-in was quite challenging. Because when I said we need to digitize, there was a feeling in the bank that we are digitized enough. They already had the internet banking, they had mobile banking, and they said we are digital. What do you need more? Okay. And yet the branches were on 128 kbps lights. Okay. So what are we talking digitization? We aren't even there, the first step of it. So the very first project I took was to improve the connectivity of the branches, and we changed the entire networking system.
Okay.
From the city point aggregation to the multiple line switching protocol technology. So a lot of work done there, and then we went in for branch virtualization. We came up with some branches called in-touch branches, which could allow people to touch and feel what a branch of the future would look like. And we created them in malls. We never have branches in malls, but we created them in malls and we kept them open on Saturdays and Sundays, because we wanted not only our customers, but also our staff to go with their families and just, fiddle around in the branches. And then, not only did we do this, we took our entire top management for an offsite, got a lot of people to come in and talk about what others were doing and what was the state of, digitization across the world. We took them to Bangalore. We curated a number of startups and had them present to us, like what startups were doing in the fintech area. And when all of this had happened, people came back and said, "Oh, wow, yeah, we need to change." But I really wanted people to sort of lean into the whole change, to transform. And you saw we were not on social media when I became the chairman. By the time I left, we were number one on every social media platform. So we had created banking offerings that could be directly accessed from the social media networks. Okay. Which had never been the case earlier. We were not on social media at all, because I think a few years back when we had got in there, we had got trolled. And as a result, the bank decided not to go in there. My feedback was that if people are trolling you, at least they're taking the time and effort to say something. That means they're invested in you. I think the initial startup, like for everything that starts up, there is a inertia of rest. So there is a little bit of friction there. But once you get people bought in, then it becomes so much easier.
Absolutely. And 95% of any transformation is about people. So, I can totally imagine that seeing is believing, and once you get people hooked to the idea and the vision, I think rest of it might definitely roll. Ma'am, you have spoken a lot about importance of building financial literacy and at scale utilizing digital. Now, how has this initiative, in your perspective, helped bring about inclusivity, especially for those who are in the undeserved and marginalized section, and a different perspective maybe for women in general?
So the when we did the PMJDY, the PMJDY, we used to do it in camps, and there were normally three parts in the camps. There was one part that would do the registration in Aadhaar. If you didn't have an Aadhaar registration, banks were empowered to do it then.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there is another part where your account would actually get opened, and then there was another piece which was devoted to financial literacy. Because while we were opening the accounts, a lot of people didn't understand what the accounts were going to be used for. Also, we were asked to card every account. Okay. Now, people had never used cards. These were ATM cards, debit cards. They'd never used them. They didn't know how to keep them. They didn't understand that there was a pin to it. And they didn't understand that while we were promising them that they would be insured, that insurance would not be valid if you didn't swipe the card at least once in 45 days. Okay. So all of this information had to be given to them. Now, as we give all of this information, and then as all these DBT funds, the direct benefit funds started getting in, people then started understanding the power of the account. Because yesterday, the guy who used to do his entire business in cash could never get a loan from the bank because they could not establish any cash flows. And it slowly enables you to improve your standard of living, the standard of your business, the size and depth of your business. All of that gets empowered. Okay. Because you are doing inclusion, financial inclusion. You're not no longer having to work in an informal system where the interest rates, etc., can be really usurious. Okay. So I think over a period of time, this really made a difference. Also regarding women, when we did PMJDY informally, sort of, we tried to make sure that as many as possible, the accounts were open for the matriarchs of the family. And later on, SBI actually did a survey of two districts, one in Uttar Pradesh and one in Bihar, in order to determine that those districts had more women's PMGDY account than men's. Okay, so there we went and made a estimation as to how the expenditure patterns had changed. And we found in those places where women's accounts were more, the spend had gone up enormously for medication and then for coaching and tuition. Okay, those two areas were the areas where the spends had gone up. And the spends had come down maximum in the area of intoxicants. Okay. So you can understand that how empowering it is if the woman of the house gets the money. With women empowerment, therefore, is very central to everything we do. Because you change a woman or empower a woman, you actually empower the whole household.
Absolutely.
There is a material difference that happens in the next generation that is coming up.
Ma'am, a little personal question, right? So, what do you think has shaped your approach to life and life as a professional and also personal?
Means we get shaped by our circumstances, right? And one thing that I've been shaped by is that my family has very strong women, and my mother, my aunt, they lost their parents at a very early age. They are all self-taught, self-made people. And one thing that my mother has repeatedly told me, that you need to have an identity of your own. You cannot be known as somebody's daughter or wife or sister or mother. You need to have an identity. I think in a way that has shaped the fact that I've looked for a career rather than a job. I've tried to maintain my career in spite of huge difficulties that have come my way. There have been times when I've thought that I should give up, but thankfully, I've been guided in the right way. I got the right people to tell me the right things at the right time so that I didn't give up, and I'm grateful for that.
When your mother said an identity of your own, I don't think she expected you to become an identity for the country and for all the professional folks out here.
Thank you very much. I don't think that is strictly true, but yeah.
Ma'am,
I'm so glad that she did sort of get me to imbibe these values. Yeah.
so are we, ma'am. Ma'am, very connected to that, a little bit of overlapping in what you answered before. As a woman who has shattered the glass ceiling and all stereotypes in the society that we have seen over past decades, um, many of us look to you definitely for inspiration. And if you could share one or two pivotal moments that in your career has helped break barriers and achieve your goals.
So, one of the pivotal moments I think was when I determined quite early on that by 21 I needed to be independent. Okay. My father was in the PSB, he was in sale, and he was retiring. Retirement age then was 58, and there was no pension. So that was one thing that used to sort of, it made up my mind that I needed to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
And I joined SBI at 21 and a half. And the 6 months before that, I supported myself by doing tuitions. Okay. Though my father insisted on still sending me a little money because he said that was his responsibility, just as I had taken this as my responsibility. He said, got to do mine. Anyway, he stopped that after I got into the bank. But till then, he did, yeah. But I think that was one piece that really sort of, that was one of those pivotal things. And I went for the bank because at that point of time, the private sector opportunities were not that many.
Correct.
And going for the open All India exam seemed to be the best way. And somehow or the other, this one clicked. Okay. The second thing, of course, I think a very pivotal thing was, when I got married and I moved to Kharagpur, and my husband was in IIT Kharagpur, and the question was, how would I manage? Because I was in a job that used to move me every 3 years. My husband, by the way, he married me with the idea that I would stay in Kharagpur forever. The institution was very supportive. So for 9 years, they kept me in and around Kharagpur, okay, transferring me from one branch to the other so that I could still continue. And then, of course, there wasn't enough space in the sense that there weren't enough senior enough positions and I had got promoted. So they shifted me to Calcutta. And from then, it was he that, had to come where I was in order to be together at weekends or whatever. But there I would give a lot of credit to him in the sense that he was flexible in that, the fact that he supported me in this journey. I think the last one that I'll talk about is mm, when I was thinking of leaving, as I told you. This was when I was getting transferred to Lucknow. And my daughter is a special needs child. Okay. I needed an integrated school for her because she's borderline, but she still needs an integrated environment. And she had one in Calcutta, very good school called Akshar. And then when I was going to Lucknow, I was 100% certain I wouldn't find a similar school. And so I decided that I'd resign. Okay. And luckily, I remembered one of my earlier mentors. He also retired as chairman of the bank. He was CGM Calcutta before that. That's how I knew him. And I called him and I told him, sir, what should I do? So he said, you've just become GM, you're beginning to just get the rewards of all the hard work you put in. Why should you leave without first going there and determining really that there is nothing over there that will help your child? So I said, but moving my family there and then if I resign. So he says, don't move your family. Instead of giving up the job that you have labored on for 20 years, give up 1 month with your family. Let them be for 1 month, get some relatives to come and look after your child and go there and see whether you can find a school. And then giving up is so easy. It's a 3-liner on an email. You can give up. That's always there. That that option is there for you. So I decided to do that. Went to Lucknow, found an excellent school for her. Okay. And my journey continued. So I think these have been pivotal moments. Of course, a very pivotal moment also has been my move from the public sector to the private sector. I've learned so much. So there are a lot of things that I have seen and learned now because of the multiple exposure. But it was a pivotal moment when I did decide to join Salesforce.
Absolutely, and a pivotal moment for all of us eventually. Ma'am, last question. Um, as you're so deeply impacted the digital landscape and you have inspired so many of us. Now, if you have to share one message to convey to the next generation of professionals, I'm thinking about even my son, my daughter, but what would be your one advice to them and also to, let's say, new age parents like us on what should we think for them?
So, something, your children will have multiple careers. Even me from my generation, I have basically multiple careers, right? I was first in the financial sector. Then I became a non-executive member for, say, 1.5 years. And then I got into the area of IT. So it's literally multiple sectors, right? And nothing could have prepared me for this because my background in academics is English literature. It was neither finance nor IT, and yet I'm working in all of these areas. So What you need to teach your children is how do they learn and adapt.
Sure.
How to be creative. What is going to be really essential as you go forward is creativity, not rote learning. So wherever people are able to creatively do things, that's where they'll win out. Okay. If there's one thing you need to teach them is how to be creative, how to be original, how to be empathetic, how to adapt, how to learn and unlearn. So that's where you need to ensure that you're giving that right kind of mindset to people to go beyond the facts as they lie on the table and to get the insights from there, to be creative about those insights.
Sure. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for patiently answering our queries.
Thanks for listening to Be All You Can, a podcast by Godrej Enterprises Group, exploring the passion, purpose, and dreams of pioneers. Stay tuned for more stories that inspire action and impact.